So let's talk about all the books that I read by Riley Hart. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Charles from the channel Books on Stereo. I'm here to talk about all the books that I've read by Riley Hart. Now I will preface this, I haven't read every single book that she has written. I have read a decent amount of books. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through all the books. I'll give you my quick thoughts and a quick rating. We're going to wrap it up, give you my overall thoughts on this author's work and whether I recommend it to you guys. So without further ado, let's get into the book. First we have Looking for Trouble. This one's a dad's best friend romance, and it's also an age gap romance. Gave this one I think like a 2 out of 5 stars. Wasn't my favorite. I was expecting it to be a lot steamier, but it actually wasn't quite steamy. It was like really emotional. Isn't a bad thing, but I just didn't love this one as much as I was hoping I would. Up next we have His Truth, and this is a romance between the son of a crime or like mob boss and then a son of a lawyer. The son of the mob boss has actually been repressing his sexuality because of like what his family has done to him. And for this one I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's a really hard and heavy read, but the steam is there, the characters are on point, and this was all around a really great standalone. And up next I have Rock Solid, and this is a romance between a construction worker and a surgeon, or a former surgeon I should say. The former surgeon has like, I believe like a hand injury that prevents him from doing his profession, and our construction worker is actually dealing with drug addiction, and it's their romance. And so I gave this one another 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. The steam, this is probably one of her steamiest books. I do not know if this one is a complete standalone because it's labeled as book 1, but there's no news on whether further books will be available in this series. So I'm going to assume it's a standalone for right now, but yes, I really ended up enjoying this one. The romance was great, the characters were great, and the depiction of drug abuse or drug, I don't even know what to call it. You know, like when you're recuperating from drugs, like that was really well depicted in this book. And up next I have Endless Stretch of Blue, and this one takes place between, I believe, it's between two characters who survived like a similar traumatic event. They were both at a nightclub, and the nightclub caught on fire, and these two were some of the remaining survivors, and it's their romance. So this one deals with a lot of like survivor's guilt and survivor's remorse, and for me, I didn't love this one. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, but it still was a really good read. Up next I have Love Always, and this is probably one of my favorite Riley Hart books. And in this book we follow one of our characters. He basically is running away from his rich and powerful family, and he decides to choose a guy randomly off the street and basically experience all his firsts with a man before he goes back to his family and marries a woman. The guy that he picks up happens to be a drug dealer, and it's their romance. Absolutely love this one. The characters, the story, the smut was all on point, and I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Then up next I have Beautiful and Terrible Things, and in this one we follow one of our main characters. This is basically like a childhood friends to lovers type situation. We basically follow our two main heroes when they're, I believe, in high school. We find out one of the heroes' father is like the sheriff of the town, and then it's his romance with another dude who goes to the same school and plays football. I think football or baseball, I can't remember, and it's their romance. And this one definitely takes place in 2 timelines. There's a twist that happens that you will not see coming that completely caught me off guard, and I was like, oh my goodness, I absolutely love this one. Gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite, but definitely was a really good and engaging read. And up next I have Finding Finley, and this will probably be one of like Riley Hart's more controversial books. And this one we basically explore a dom-submissive relationship between 2 guys, and there's an age gap involved. So this one's a little bit more taboo. Definitely, it wasn't on the high end on the steam factor for me. I gave it like around like a 3 out of 5 for steam, and I gave it the book actually like maybe like a 2.5 out of 5 stars. For me, it was a little bit too slow, and the ending left a little bit more to be desired, if that makes any sense. I wanted more from the ending. It kind of just ended up abruptly, and that was it. There is a second book in this series. I don't know if I will pick it up. I will have to see. Maybe I might have a change in mind. I might want to delve back into this world, but if that's your kink, this is the book for you. Up next I have Crossroads, and this is like basically I would say like your stereotypical gay for you type story. I believe one of the characters is like was used to be married to a woman, and I believe another character, I don't remember what the other character did. That kind of like tells you like how I thought about this book. It was on the whole pretty forgettable. Gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Wasn't bad, wasn't particularly good. It was kind of like a middle of the road read for me. Then I have the Stumbling Into Love series by Riley Hart. I have books 1 and book 2. Book 1 is Stupid Love, and this is Enemies to Lovers mixed with a little bit of like a epistolary, I believe, like, is that what you will even call it, type of romance in this one. Love this one. I probably would say I love I would say like 75% of the book, but then there's some things that come into play in the ending that I didn't quite love. and so many things were kind of glanced over and kind of resolved very quickly, and it made me kind of knock off a star for this book. So I ended up giving this one like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It still was a really fun read. Definitely like a little bit on the lighter side, more rom-com in terms of like the smut level. But overall, I really ended up enjoying this one. And then finally, I have book 2, and this follows, I believe this one is actually interracial romance as well. We follow Jameson, who I believe is like part of this like really powerful, rich media conglomerate family. And then we follow our other character. I can't remember the character's name. And he is actually an employee for that company. They do not know that like that's how they're connected in this book, but it's kind of like dating the boss's son type trope, if you want to call it that. But the cool thing about this is that our black hero is actually pretty nerdy and pretty awkward, which makes all the steamy parts like just like really cringeworthy, so it kind of took me out of the book. But overall, I liked it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Probably I liked it more than the first book, but you do not have to read these two books in order. The only connection between these two books is that the hero of this book is the best friend of one of the heroes in the first book. Now let's talk about my favorite series by Riley Hart, and it's a Camp Havenwood series. And so with these books, there's 4 books in total in the whole series. You do not have to read them in any particular order. The only 2 books that connect are the first book and the 4th book, because those 2 characters, I believe the 2 of the heroes in those books are actually brothers, and they both end up actually dating each other's best friend, which is kind of crazy. The first book, Giving Chase, in this one we follow one of our heroes, and it's basically almost like a dating your best friend, dating your brother's best friend trope, mixed in with like a little bit of cop kink in this one. Absolutely love this one. There definitely is some kind of heavier moments in this book. We find out that one of our heroes is actually has actually lived with like a very abusive father, and he's still taking care of his father. Like even in his old age, I believe he has like Alzheimer's or dementia when this book takes place, and you're kind of like seeing that relationship play out. It's a little bit hard to read, but overall, really enjoyed this book. Had a lot of great heart, a lot of great steamy moments, and I just absolutely love this book. Next, I have Murphy's Law, and this is like a rock star romance, but the rock star is not the alpha in the relationship, and that's all I'll say. And to me, this wasn't my favorite one. This was a little bit like kind of like a, like I don't even know what you would call it, like more like a Debbie Downer a little bit. It's a little bit more somber, a little bit more serious, not so much on the funny and light side. Not any of these books are on that side completely, but this one definitely kind of felt like a little bit more like a Debbie Downer to me. And overall, I liked it. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Wasn't my favorite in the series, but it wasn't a completely bad entry into the series. Then we have Hard Knocks. We basically have, this is essentially like almost like a Gay for You and mix with like a single dad trope. I don't know why I said daddy, because like people are going to be triggered by that, but mixing with a single dad trope. Love this one. Gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely, this team in this was just so good. Absolutely love this book. And then finally, I have the 4th book, which is Griff's Place, and this actually, the hero of this book is actually the older brother to one of the characters in the first book, Giving Chase. Absolutely love this one. Can't say anything else, but like I love this one so much. It's essentially like a reversal of the trope that was in the first book, and I absolutely love this because the brother in this book ends up dating his younger brother's best friend, which is crazy, and I absolutely love that. So like they both have dated each other's best friends, like which is just absolutely crazy to me. Love this book, and I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. So let's go over into my overall thoughts on Riley Hart's books. So there's a little bit of a commonality that kind of is present throughout a lot of her books. A lot of her characters tend to like fall into that Gay for You trope, which is a very common trope in the MM romance category. And you also find you have to deal with some characters kind of like, I don't know if I like men, or dealing with that whole kind of coming out mantra in a lot of her books. So I noticed a lot of themes being repeated over and over and over again, but that isn't to say that all her books are absolutely repetitive. All these books have like a distinct plot and distinct characters, but sometimes those thematic elements may turn readers off because it depends. Like, because if you are new to MM romances, you may like eat this stuff up, but if you have read a ton, this trope may not work for you all the time. And that was the case for me. I think since I read so many of these back to back to back, I kind of like noticed like those little quirks and like those little thematic elements being more and more prevalent throughout the books, which was a little bit of a turnoff for me, but not anything that was a huge deal breaker. And overall, I would say her steam level was probably like a 3 to 4 out of 5. I would say she's a little bit more on like the rom-com and more like heavy-hitting contemporary type books. But overall, do I recommend Riley Hart? Yes, I absolutely do. I recommend the Camp Havenwood series and Love Always if you want a place to start, or if you want a standalone, read Love Always, and if you want a series, read the Camp Havenwood series. Both are really good options. And all her books, or pretty much all her books, are available in audio as well, and they're all really great. I think most of them are narrated by Michael Dean, but some of her newer stuff has like a couple of different narrators, so that's like really cool. But overall, I really like her work. I think you guys will end up liking her work too, so definitely go check out this author. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'll catch you guys with a brand new video.